trying to do a show here. I'm
trying to do a show, Georgia.
Georgia, you're not the star. It's me this time.
That's right. There you go. Awesome.
Oh.
I don't know. So I don't know how to get onto my own show. So I just fuck YouTube. That's all I have to say about that. Yeah. And we're going to do StreamYard. I think addictions is a good one for today.
Okay. Addictions as far as like...
As being... Well, you know how... Well, addictions as in us going so hard. And yeah, within activism, yeah.
And not knowing how to take vacations without doing activism.
That kind of stuff. And also trying, using other substances to cope because of all the shit that we see. Just like we have our...
And I'm still plant-based. Don't give me
still
shit.
Plant-based.
I'm still plant-based.
Still plant-based. I'm smoking the plants.
Next month it'll be 4 years no alcohol. I'm doing good.
Good for you. No, well, you're doing awesome.
But this world.
Exactly, and I want to talk about like that kind of stuff and how others go back to the bottle. Like I started drinking again, that kind of stuff, like here and there, right? Not like buying.
Support people. How can we better support our community?
Right.
To help us with. I mean, we're fucked up, man.
We're a bunch of wounded souls. But no, we all need a way to cope. And I think we're all a walking bunch of wounded individuals, and none of us were learned any kind of coping skills. So the most that we have to offer is each other, right? And our experiences. Yeah, they're still waiting for me. Yeah, show's over. Okay, get rid of that.
We really need to do a couple more practices.
Yeah, before we go live.
But Cubby's been wanting to do an interview as a former butcher for Publix and all the things.
Oh, I'll interview him.
As a butcher
Fuck
and
yeah.
the things that they put and the things they put into the flesh and the disgusting things that they do.
They made us do.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty disgusting.
So like a layout. So you got the introduction. Who am I? Who is Milena? Why we created the show. And one of the main reasons is because of other vegans bashing other vegans, right? It's like we're venting, but in this show, I don't want to name anybody's name. So I don't want to give them any more attention that they're desiring for their ignorance. Like all these other people, they don't have their names mentioned. Yeah, no name mentioning because they don't deserve that. They're knocking us down. I am recording because I'm going to go back, and I think it's important to record our beginnings.
That is very important.
Yeah, to see how we do, because we're getting everybody excited.
Are good.
I think we have great conversations. We have the topics, and hopefully the person that we're interviewing aligns with that topic, and then we go from there. But me and you, our stories are very important as well, so we don't want to exclude us. That's why it's important to always include our personal stories intertwined throughout, because we have great stories.
I was actually trying to make my 8-year vegan anniversary video. August 4th was the date, and I was like, at least if I get it within the month of August. Well, here we are, September 1st, and Melena's still so annoyed because
so busy,
I'm a perfectionist and I want a cool video that shows like all the shit that I've done, but I don't want too many pictures and I don't want too many videos because it's
so you're trying to put it
like 50 to 100,
And I think the important one of the biggest things about us, I think, is that we are full-time activists. Like, we're not just sitting here talking shit and talking smack about other people. We're talking smack about the people who are just sitting around talking smack and not doing anything but putting us down. So the topics are Veg Fest. I don't know if you had any this summer, or summer reflections. And how, like, for me personally, I'm fucking drained and forgetful. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm reaching to the bottle every once in a while. I still go to counseling, but things like that. So people need to know that our stories, just because we're out here and we're working for the animals and we're looking like we're fucking rocking it, we still suffer behind the doors.
One of the hardest months for me, I have to say. And lately I've been kind of experienced, I guess, a little bit of burnout and drain, because I mean, between like all the stuff that was happening, like I've witnessed a lot of things, as far as, we've gone to slaughterhouse, dairy farms, different places where we see like real nasty things that are done to animals and stuff. But like this past month, between the the thing that happened in Turkey with the 4 million animals being massacred there and us not being able to stop it really like killed me. I've been in a lot of tears this month, and I'm not a big crier, but also what happened with the Brooksville slaughter farm, where a lot of stuff. And the one good thing that came out of it is that we were able to put enough pressure on them to get the animals, the survivors, released from Hernando County into our sanctuary. So that made me feel better, but it doesn't stop the pressure needing to be put on for the arrests to be made. So
I know that's emotional, right?
Yeah, it's been a really rough month, and I get overwhelmed sometimes. Yeah, I get to the point where I'm just like, I know there's a ton of things that I need to do, but I just lock up. I get like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed that I lock up and I just sit there and like I'll stare at my phone, or I'll play a game, or I'll do something to relax myself and bring that anxiety back down, just so I can move on to the next thing. And I make myself sheets every morning for focus sheets and everything. And I've just been trying to do more self-care now instead of
that's the key word right there, Milena. Self-care. And as full-time on the go everyday activists, we don't do that. We wait until we burn out. Like, oh, maybe I should take care of myself now. I'm burning out.
As a mentor, I preach it over and over. It's like everybody that I meet. But then when everybody looks at me and goes, "What are you doing for yourself?" I'm like, I'm not leaving my camper because I can't stand society. So I just sit here on my own, and this is my happy place, and it's 30 feet of space that I'm content in. And if I need to go to the store, we make it a quick run out and a quick run back, and I don't leave the house unless I'm doing activism and meeting up with people that I can relate to and feel comfortable around and can breathe around. And
do you notice? Do you notice that as the summer goes on and it gets deeper and deeper into the summer and our activism gets more and more, I found this year it was harder and harder to stay around Carnus, right? Like, so you talking about staying in your house. I wanted to do so many things this summer, but every time I left my house, all I could see were these zombies. You know what I'm saying? Like, everywhere I looked, it was around. I was like, I can't. So I understand wanting to just stay in your camper and your little happy place, but then we don't get to do anything, right? We're just stuck and locked in, and we communicate this way with each other because it's pretty much all some of us have.
Yeah, I work and I plan because we both do a ton of stuff. You're I think more out in the streets lately than I have been because I'm in Sarasota and I don't really have
the opportunity.
But I'm trying to create my own tribe here and bring people in so I can do more things within the community, because as much as I do, I never feel like I'm doing enough. There's just every day, as an activist, and especially, I'm not saying like tooting my own horn or anything, but you and I are known, we're pretty prominent figures, I guess. People know us. So, a lot of people come to us and they expect us to know everything about, like rescuing animals and doing this and doing that. And like things that, I still need to learn more. Every day is a learning experience. So, but my where I used to be the person who didn't want to miss out on anything. Oh, there's an email, there's a text, there's a party, there's a this, there's a that. Now I'm just like, I have to put the phone down sometimes because there's tons of messages and everybody wants you to be that person to find a home for this animal, rescue this animal, do this, and whenever they say we need to approach something, it's not a we, it's a you. And I'll organize and I'll do things, I don't mind, but I want that support back. And half the time the community doesn't show up for me. So, that's also another thing, that when you don't feel supported, and, I have no problem doing anything. I want that support from the community.
Well, exactly. Right. And I think that's the really frustrating part for most of us, especially when, like, after COVID, the activists disappeared. I don't know where they went. And I just came out as an activist, right? I'm like, aren't there any activists in the city? But I think it's taken a few years, but I think now we have a good core group. We have at least 25 to 30 people. They don't all come out at once, but we have like 8-9 people that consistently come out. So that's pretty good compared to the 2 or 3. But it's taken like 3 years to get that. And I think the more that me and you do, and that's why I think me and you go so hard, we want to show everybody how important it is to be an activist, and that we would have a vegan world faster if there were more activists. But it also puts a lot of stress on us because we're never stopping. Like we just don't stop. Like, I wake up in the morning. I came to the computer this morning to make a vacation for myself for 2 weeks, where I don't look at the computer, where I don't answer emails, where I don't contact anybody for just 2 weeks in September. That's all I want. And I'm wondering if I could actually do that. So I'm gonna try that. But putting a vacation where we don't do any activism is fucking impossible almost, because we see injustice everywhere we look. And me and you are go-getters. We have to do something right there and then. Like today, for fuck's sakes, I'm walking to go get my cat food because the cats were starving this morning. So I went to go get cat food. And as I'm walking past this Chinese market. And this Chinese man is holding a clear plastic bag filled with chicken's feet. And I'm like, I'm walking past him and I go, those feet don't belong to you. And I kept walking, but he doesn't understand my language, so whatever. But like, this is the stuff that me and you get subjected to. And people, I find it so distressing that we're bullied the way that we are. I mean, I'm finding that more and more. Like when people are insulting vegans, I find they don't understand how much it hurts for you to take your mouth and put it into the flesh of a being that we're trying to save, right? Like, invite me to your 50th birthday party. That's great, but you're going to be eating the beings I'm protecting. I'm sorry, that was an email that happened today. So I said, no, I'm not going. But still, like, they don't, I think that connection is the biggest thing that's bothering me right now, that lack of connection between the humans and the animals, right? So I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on that, Milena? So we weren't born, we were born, but we weren't raised to cuddle the chickens and the cows and the pigs and stuff. None of us had a pet chicken, right? Well, maybe some did, but most of us didn't have pet chickens. So what is your thought on how to bring that connection back?
It's hard because, I mean, obviously, it starts from when we're children, before we can even speak, our parents are handing us body parts of animals and ovulations and secretions, and they're telling us that it's healthy. Our schools are pushing it. They won't fund any of our school lunches unless we have breast milk from a cow, which is insane. So, I mean, it starts with educating. It starts with, for example, I worked for Solid Rock Community School, which is a plant-based school, and not everybody there was vegan or vegetarian or plant-based or any of that. So it was great to have that opportunity to reach out to the children and let them know that, you can have great meals that don't contain anything from an animal. And they kept coming back for more and more food. So that was really awesome. So, I mean, early education is really great. I mean, talking to people, being the connection between, not just dogs, not just cats, all animals want to live is one of our chants, and letting people understand that the foxes and the raccoons and all that are being vaginally and anally electrocuted and skinned alive are the same as those dogs that are in your home, and letting them know that the cows that are out there are being bred forcefully over and over and over again, babies taken away, that this is not something normal or natural. We've all been brought up to think that this is a natural process, which none of it, from the animal existing to the processes that are going on in these things. And I hate to say process because it's literally bestiality, rape, and infanticide and things like that, that if it was happening to a human, we would be up in arms. If this is happening to a dog or a cat, we would be up in arms. So it's a matter of figuring out how to reach people the most. And our friend Shannon really believes that the dairy industry is a hidden thing that once we bring that to light, we can push in what happens in the slaughterhouses, and in these confined operations where not just CAFOs but the sheds that they're being bred in and living in, and having their teeth, testicles, and tails cut out as babies. I mean,
what was that? What you said, CAFO?
I'm sorry.
You said CAFO?
CAFO, a confined animal feeding operation. CAFO.
Okay, yeah, CAFO, confined animal feeding operation. Yeah, I've heard you say that before, and I never stopped and asked what that meant. So now I had to ask. We're live.
Do they call it something different in Canada, maybe?
No, they just call them. I don't even know. They call them they just feedlots. Yeah. During Veg Fest, I've been giving speeches, and that's what I'm saying in my speeches, basically, is that early education is where it's needed, because they don't teach us compassion towards animals in school. They teach us that we need to eat them, right? So, and we're naturally compassionate beings. Children they want to cuddle the animals and play with the animals. So we only made that a fucking priority, right? To nurture that compassion within these individuals instead of nurturing the butcher in them. I don't know.
We do them a huge disservice, and it's to me, I feel that it's child abuse, because
it is
telling these children to love this animal, eat this animal, shoot this animal, then and pity this
speciesism.
animal.
Yeah,
it's speciesism, and it's hypocritical, and saying that you're okay with doing one thing to somebody and not to somebody else is just insane, because for all intents purposes they feel love. And if we were talking about a child or even a grown-up that was had impairments, we wouldn't look at them and their intelligence to decide whether they get to live or die, but we'll look at an animal and say, hey, they're not intelligent enough, or
slice of the road,
bottom of the food chain, so they don't matter. So, but their lives do matter to them. That's the only thing that they come into this world with, is their life. They don't have material possessions or anything else. They just have their life.
Their one life.
We take from them. And it's horrible. And it's terrible that people have been conditioned to believe that this is okay.
I know, right? And I think that conditioning is so important. And like when people first come, a lot of people, when they first come out as vegans, are fucking angry. I was angry. And I just want to touch on this a bit, because it brings over to that guilt that we feel as, at least me anyway, I can't speak for you, but for being a later vegan. I didn't go vegan until I was 48. So I'm making up for all the animals that I have eaten before. So we go hard. But the fuck were we talking about?
Maybe we should start with when we became vegan, and how it's at that point, and backtrack it, so when people start listening, they'll understand where we're coming from in the first place, and how we got to where we are right now, and our feelings and how things are going.
Yeah, because we're going to be all over the place if we don't do that. We should know who the hell we are, right? We just kind of plop. I'll edit it back and forth. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no worries. But
okay, so do you want to tell your story first, Melina, and tell us how did you go vegan?
All right. Well, since we were just discussing on how I've been trying to spend like a day and a half now creating a video for my vegan anniversary, which is August 4th, would be my 8 years. I went from, my story is a little different. I'm a little disappointed in myself, but I started out vegetarian for the majority of my life until I was 17 years old. And I moved to Charleston, South Carolina with my now ex-husband. But for some reason, when I got there, I decided, we stopped at a Hardee's, and I ended up getting a chicken sandwich there, which I'm so grossed out about myself forever even doing that. But I started eating chicken and turkey and sea life. Not that it makes it any better, but I was more into the sea life for some reason. Nirvana said it's okay to eat fish because they don't have any feelings. And
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
my rocker heart was like, all right, he knows what he's talking about. Yeah, but I always felt I always felt odd about eating chicken and turkey, and I would take a breast that was this big, and it would be this big by the time I got done picking it apart. So I feel like I've always been a vegan in the making, but when I started, I was really active and into working out and doing things and eating healthy, and so I thought what I was doing was healthy, and I started getting this app. It was called Food Kit, and you can scan things and items, the barcodes, and it'll tell you right from A to a D, tell you what's good about it, what's bad about it, why, and what other alternatives are. And I started learning about what they pump into sea life to make them plumper and things like that, and different toxins. And I was also taking a yoga class where my yoga instructor was plant-based, and I started doing a lot more research. And I remember seeing a woman standing outside of a dairy cooler case, and she had a sign saying that animals die for this. And there was a lot of comments in the section saying, oh, this woman is crazy, But me, I'm like, I want to see what's going on. So I started looking into that.
Was that Shannon? Was it Shannon? Okay.
Shannon to find out about, Shannon's been between 24 and 27 years that she has not eaten an animal, but she was vegetarian for many of those years, and until somebody looked at her and said to her, or a cousin actually, had said, you're a hypocrite because you're killing animals for the dairy industry. And that's when she ended up making that realization.
It's all about information. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you saw this woman with the sign?
Yes.
Did you go up to her?
No. This was not in person. This was a meeting.
Oh.
But it would have been interesting to have gone to somebody. But the things that they were saying were, they were hitting a nerve. I was like, there's got to be something to this. So I started looking into it more, watching documentaries. I was already moving away from any animal stuff at that point anyway. I watched I watched What the Health. And that was like, at that point, I mean, I was already there pretty much, but I was like, okay, that's it. No more BS. And this is, the animals need us. This is like really bad. And, of course I felt bad about my decisions. And I thought, well, I'm going to go and, take my newfound information and I'm going to run around and tell everybody, and everybody's going to go vegan because they don't know this stuff. And I'm just finding out, this is going to be,
I'm going to tell the world.
It's going to be vegan. Yeah. So unfortunately, we find out the hard way, that it's not like that. And then you want to love every vegan that you meet because they're your people. And then time goes by and you find out that not all of them are, are wonderful, their hearts are in the right places, but there's still, there's still some need for, counseling, people skills, things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I pretty much, I went vegan immediately. Then I ended up having 2 brain surgeries in 2016 when I first went vegan. And then again in 2018 for benign meningioma brain tumors. They're not sure what they're linked to, possibly hormones.
Oh, really?
But, anyway, so I started during COVID. I started doing activism, but during COVID is when I met Shannon, and
nice.
And I made the best of a bad situation. I left my job at Publix, and I decided to work for myself. My husband and I started our own business, and he left Publix too, and he went vegan. So 4 years of me being vegan before he went, but and I would have left him, to be honest, if he had not, because when I go and I can't come back to the opposing team because it's just too hard. So, but luckily, he is who he is, and he's an activist, and he's vegan, and we're good to go. So at least I have somebody to come home to that I can decompress with, and talk to,
and now I find that even though we do have our partners to decompress with, it's just not enough. Right. It's I don't want to burden my partner either with a whole bunch of my stuff. So it's good to have friends like you're my bestie, right? My American bestie. I will. And we've always got each other to talk to. And I think it's so damn important that we have a variety of people, because then they're never going to say, no, I don't want to talk to you about that. No, tell me what's going on. I need you. Like, we need activists to stay active. So we need to support them, right? We need them to feel loved and feel like they're doing a great job. And just so I'm so happy you found Shannon, right? To help.
An animal activism mentorship. So it has been like a life-changing thing for me. I mean, it's afforded me so many opportunities and such an amazing community that I consider my family, and everything. It's been an incredible journey. I've been traveling the country and doing all kinds of documenting and breaking my own heart, but at least I have people there that are helping me put the pieces back together. We all we all feel it. We all see it. Yeah, so
we got a lot.
Did you want to mention where you can come in and going vegan?
Okay, I can do that. Story? So I think everyone's journey. Everyone does have a journey. And, I used to hate that word. Oh, it's not a journey. But when you look back, there are signposts along the way that say, oh, yeah, okay, I was totally a vegan in the making. You can see those little posts along the way. You stop eating fish, or you stop eating pork, or you start connecting with this animal, so you stop eating him. And then my brother went vegetarian. I'm like, oh, what's that about? Right? And I'm like, I could possibly do that. But my partner at the time was very into meat. She loved her meat. And I had a JP that I worked with, right? So I worked for the Justice Department. And there was this little tiny JP I would make fun of every time. He was a vegetarian. And he'd walk past my desk with his little salad. I'm like, you got a little salad today? That's cute. Right? And then and I just, whatever I'd say to him, he'd laugh his ass off. And I'd ask him questions like, why do you want your food to taste like the animals if you don't want to eat the animals? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. Right? And he's just like, Janine, you're so funny.
You were one of those, huh?
I was one of those, right? But I seriously wanted to know. And so I say, never dismiss those questions when people are asking you, because some people don't even know how close they are to being vegan. Because if he would have answered me that question, something could have happened. Because I asked my brother that question as well later on. I said, bro, same thing. And he says, Dreen, but he didn't say Dreen. He says, Wiener, because that's one of my nicknames. Wiener. I didn't go vegan because I didn't like the taste of the animals. I went vegan because it was the right thing to do. And I'm like, oh, so I can still like the taste and go vegetarian, right? It's like I almost felt like a hypocrite, right? I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, if all the other people still like the taste, it's fine. Just make other things taste like it. And then it's like it gave me permission to be a vegetarian. It was weird. So then, blah, 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 I get injured at work, fall down, go boom. And I'm sitting on the computer and looking up stuff. And I came across the killing of Regan Russell. And I had no idea what this was, what bearing witness was. Why were they doing this? So I investigated and I went down that rabbit hole and I saw a lot of shit. And when I came out of that rabbit hole, I was completely 100% vegan. It's like, there's no way you can see all of that stuff and not make a change, right? Anyone who goes down the rabbit hole and doesn't come out vegan, there's something wrong with them. I'm sorry, there's something wrong with them. And I had jaw surgery that month that I decided to go vegan, and my partner would not make me anything vegan for soup. So I had to have I remember it was Lipton's chicken broth, right? Their Lipton chicken noodle soup without the chicken pieces, but just the broth. And I had that. That was the last thing I had. And once I could start eating for myself, boom. I picked December 17th. That's what I picked, or 16th or some shit like that. So it's coming on 4 years. Yeah, I keep forgetting. But I think I used to get mad at people all the time for asking me those stupid questions, right? Like, why do you want your food? Like, it's a simple question, but it's a valid question because it held me up for so long because I kept thinking of an empty plate. So I was raised with, meat, potato, vegetables, your 3 options on your plate. And all I could see was the 2 options. So I have potatoes and vegetables. What am I going to put in replace of the meat? So I didn't think about making a meal. I didn't think about Googling, hey, how do I veganize spaghetti or veganize this? My mind was fucking blank. A fear of an empty plate is all I saw. And that's what everyone else sees, right? Food is the foundation of veganism, even though it is not about food, right? But animals are food to everybody else. So it's definitely about food. That's where I've come to in the 4 years of being an activist. So I'm changing topics now, Milena. Everyone knows why we're vegan, but they don't really know what we stand for, right? So I gave a speech saying I'm a 100% abolitionist. There is absolutely a fucking Holocaust going on right now against the animals. And while I want to describe that Holocaust to everybody I meet, that's not where they're at. So I can't do that. I can do that and they'll just be like, fuck you, vegan, and they'll walk away. So what good is that? I ruined the opportunity to give someone some information.
That's why we got to meet them where they are. And I had struggled with that for a very long time myself. Because it was always the eye roll, like, which excuse are you going to come to me with now? And the eyes would roll. And then as time went by and I watched other people that I admired having conversations, I started doing the deep breath and get yourself into a place where you can listen and take in what they're saying and give them good feedback. Of course, you're always going to encounter the one that wants to have an ignorant conversation and they're just there for banter and to ridicule you. And that is something that I don't stick around for. But
you have to end that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are energy suckers. Those people that that just want to banter back and forth. And I say, you know what? I hope you have a great day, but I'm done talking to you now. And I'll move on to someone else because we already have enough energy being sucked from us, from the world and all the horrors that we see. We can choose that one to walk away from that situation. So good. You got to do that. But meeting them, go ahead to meeting them where they're at and how long it took you to get to that point, Milena. Because at first we want everybody, no, go vegan now. I'm going to tell you these 3 sentences. And after I say these 3 sentences, it's up to you to go vegan or else you're an animal abusing motherfucker. Right? And that's how I was, right? In the beginning. So how did that shift for you?
I know now when I have conversations, I'll admit that outreach is not my favorite. It's more fun when you're doing a food giveaway because people tend to respond to that a lot better. Or if you use words like plant-based, they respond a little better, or even climate. And I know some people don't want to talk about that, but it's something that we absolutely have to talk about because it's intertwined. Yeah. So But I think my conversations have improved, just taking that deep breath, just listening to people when, and what they're saying, why they're still, consuming animals. The Socratic method, I think, is great because people don't want to be told what to do, but if they're allowed to form that opinion on their own and have that thought, then that's definitely a better way to go. And there's still days like when I was just in New York and we had We the Free, which I thought that was an incredible, 3-minute movie. I thought that was awesome. I knew that day about myself that I was not in the mood to be having a conversation, and so I stood back and I listened to them. And then after a while, I calmed down a little, listening to some new activists talking and giving a little bit of insight on that. I did actually find a guy to sit down and watch the movie, the clip, and he was extremely emotional. And I'm happy I waited, because I feel like when I talked to him at that point, I was more calm to do it. But I know that if I'm not in a good frame of mind, it's not a good time for me to talk to them, because I want to be impactful and I don't want to put them off. Everybody, we call them pre-vegans, everybody just needs that information in that little clip, and I don't want to take that, those couple of moments that we get and not have that good conversation.
Exactly.
But we learn from the bad ones too. So.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, making sure that you're in the right place to be talking to someone is very important, because I don't want to put us on a pedestal, because I don't think that we're any better than anybody else. I think we're smarter in the sense that we've just listened to the information that's been presented to us and we're making the right choices. But I think when I was giving speeches and stuff like that, I think finding that calm, right? So like before you do your events, before we do anything, I think it's always a good idea to either just sit with the group that we're about to do our actions with. I don't know, calm yourself down, say something peaceful, have a moment of meditation or silence and I think giving that peaceful suggestion of saying, if you're not ready to talk to someone today, just stand back and listen. And that's what I like about We the Free, the 3-minute movie challenge. There's so many different roles that you can play on that day. And then the conversations that come out of that are more impactful, I think, because they're volunteering to sit down and watch that footage.
Exactly.
And when, going back to the food, how we were able to meet them where they're at, because that's, as soon as you start talking about, they're like, yeah, but what are we going to eat? But what are we going to eat? Like, but bacon though, it's so, it's hard to say, what, I know I love bacon too. I really did love the taste of bacon, right? I'm not going to deny that. However, that individual wanted to live that one life. And I remember having this conversation with this man at the Nelson Veg Fest, and he was talking about how, none of us have the right to change anything. The world is as it is, and blah, blah, blah. And, but he was kind of on our side, right? Like, he thinks everything that was going on was wrong, but he still did the organic, on this and this. And I'm like, oh yeah, because I took him off to the side, and you're right about listening, right? Because I couldn't understand what he was saying. And I found myself trying to prove my point. And I'm like, no, Jerry, just step back. I'm like, let's go over here and tell me again what your perspective is. I want to hear it again. So he told me again. And then I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying. I hear that. Now listen to my perspective. Everyone is allowed their own, and that's yours. Now listen to mine. I'm not trying to make you go vegan or anything, but this is what I feel and how I believe the world to be. And so I told him mine, and afterwards it was like, I never thought about it that way. And that's all it is just shifting that perspective, right? We're not telling them to go vegan, even though we want to. You say, be as vegan as you can be, and they're going to try. Right? If you say, be vegan or else you're fucking animal abuser, I'm like, well, fuck you. Right? It just doesn't work that way anymore. Or ever. I don't think it ever worked. But you know what? I'm going to take that back. I'm sorry. It does work for some people.
It does.
I'm wrong. It does work. Some people will go vegan overnight. And some people won't. So I take that back. I apologize, because I do say that in the speech. There's validity in everything that we do. Every piece of action that we do, every movement, everything has validity, because it'll work for someone somewhere along the line. Because you never know where someone is on their journey. It could be the first thing they heard or the last thing they heard that's going to make them go vegan. So
exactly. I've had somebody reach out to me years after they heard me say something, and they took me off their Facebook. They took me out of their lives completely. A woman that I had worked with at Publix for quite a few years, and she was I was going on one of the tours. I can't remember which one because I've gone on so many, but I was in the van, I remember, and my phone went off, and it was a messenger message, and it was this lady that I had worked with. I knew her son, I knew her grandchildren, I knew her family, and we actually took our car to her boyfriend was our mechanic. So the fact that she just dropped me like that because she didn't like what I had to say about what was happening now. Crazy. But she did send me a message, and she said that she had just watched, I believe, Cowspiracy, and she said thank you to both you and your husband for everything that you're doing. I do understand now, and I would like more information. So I was so excited in that trip. I was telling everybody in the van, and
that's so awesome.
My fingers were going the whole time. Hey, you can look for this, look for that, and that was really exciting for me. I've also taken some of my friends that are not vegan on shopping trips because quite a few years ago, I got certified as a vegan health, nutrition, and lifestyle coach.
Awesome.
I've taken 2 courses, and I would really like to up that too. And I think everybody should take nutrition courses if you're doing outreach, because it is definitely a huge part of doing outreach. Mm-hmm. So, but
stop right there. Who would you recommend? But I would recommend Dr. Greger. Who do you recommend to people to learn up some nutrition if they're just going online?
Dr. Greger is awesome, but there's so many different ways you can do vegan. I mean, obviously, there's the junk food vegans, there's the raw vegans, there's the fruit vegans, there's, the whole food plant-based ones. But we have to, food is such a big thing because you have to talk about it, because if somebody just goes, and they don't know what to eat, they're gonna try to, fries or, things like that, like junk food. And that's why we lose people, because they just go for the things that they're, the easy things they can think of, peanut butter jelly, and, and they don't.
I did Beyond Meat burgers for 2 weeks when I first went vegan because I didn't know what to make. Yeah, I'm like, what do I eat? So that's how it's like a mind block. It really is. It's like you have this line right here. You've got vegan and carnist, and there's literally a wall that blocks you from seeing all the food that's available in the vegan world. I swear to God, it's a carnistic wall, right, like that. Yeah. So talking about it is a must.
Absolutely, because we outreach somebody, and say you get somebody to to a point where they're like, oh my gosh, you're right, I would love to go vegan. I mean, it totally makes sense to me. My issue is, I might have some health issues, or I might have, or I don't know what to eat. So we have to be able to talk to them about that, because we have to, once we get them to that point, we have to foster the rest of that journey or adventure or whatever you want to call it. They're going to
leave them alone.
Yeah. Like me now, after 8 years, I just go to the store and I know what I'm going to get, and I know what to look for. You go to the ingredients, you make sure, like, I'm always a skeptical vegan if it says vegan. I go to the ingredients, I look for milk, eggs, whatever they might have in there. And then you have to kind of go through, because we picked up some non-dairy creamer before that had casein in it. So, there's a lot of bad wording. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a lot to learn. I went through my closet, belts, shoes, my husband wasn't vegan at the time. And I was like, all right, he didn't want me to go to any of the events by myself, because I was following DXC, and he saw all the stuff extreme actions that they're doing, and I'm like, I'm going to do that. And, so I couldn't go to a march or anywhere he had to go. But, I was always like, all right, check your shoes, check your belts. I don't want you wearing anything, because that's the first thing they're going to try to call out on you.
It's true. True.
It's another reason why, leather, when people go vegan, they don't know what to do with their leather or their old things, purses grandma gave you, things like that. What do we do with those things?
I think it's a personal thing up to them. Like, I personally could not sit on a couch that had the skin of a cow on it. I understand that there are vegans out there who had leather couches before they went vegan, and it's expensive, right? And maybe they can't afford to get a new one. I get that. Me personally, yeah, exactly. I would sit on the floor. Like, I would get rid of the couch, but that's just my perspective. And what I don't like about other vegans is saying that, well, that's wrong. It's like, no, it isn't. That's how are you telling me that my perspective on things is wrong? It isn't wrong.
The same thing is, a lot of people will go to places with vegan options. Yes. I don't for self-care. Do I support them? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I need everybody to go. I just know that I had participated in going to places with options in the past, and it really bothers me to have somebody sitting at the table next to me eating my friends. I just feel like I can't concentrate on my friends that I'm with and the food that I'm eating. The last place I went somebody was eating a cow next to me, and I put Dominion on and put it next to my phone.
Oh, did you?
My cup, and it was on the cow part, and it was facing them. And I looked around the table at my nice vegan friends, and I said to them, "This is going to be the last time that this is going to happen, because I just can't do it." I mean, they had frog legs on the board when I walked in, special.
Oh my God. I can't, and I don't think non-vegans understand, or pre-vegans understand how traumatizing that is for us sometimes, right? I mean, they love animals. Yeah, it's different. Like, these are beings that wanted to live. These are actually, and you're fucking making them suffer, right? And so to see the end result of that suffering going into their mouth is just, they don't understand. It's like you're using, and smile. Oh, it tastes so good. Oh, one of the things that I really do want to keep talking about in the show is the food aspect of it, because it is so important. Now, there are other vegans out there that disagree with it, because there's definitions of veganism out there that people are disagreeing with, and this is what veganism is, and this is what veganism is. Only talk about this and only talk about that. You're limiting your audience when you say only. There are so many different individuals out there, and to just narrow it down to you have to do it this way, it's just not going to happen. So I'd like to keep talking about all the ways in which it does happen, which is food, conversations, constantly going out and doing activism, not preaching on YouTube or TikTok on how to do activism when they're not doing activism. You know what I mean? Like, there's these people out there that are just preaching about what we should be doing, but they're not doing anything other than telling us what to do, right? That pisses me off. So, which is why I like us as activists having our own shows. To say, look, we're fucking doing shit, so we have the right to say this shit, and they don't. Right? We're doing the hard work, and we're going to talk about the hard work. We're going to talk about the shit that goes on, like the addictions that follow, the mental health. I see a counselor once a week. Now I'm taking emotional regulation fucking courses. I mean, we're not well people, but we're doing our best. And we want others to join us and do their best too, because they're already not well. Come join us. We'll help you get better. Right?
Right. At least we support it.
Yeah, exactly.
Come to the vegan side. We have cookies too.
Yeah, we have great vegan.
We have cookies and hugs.
That's right. And I love hearing about your stories, because they're so unique, right? The American side of things, the Canadian side of things. You guys and your laws are different than ours, right? I have a court case coming up on the 27th, right, for throwing blood. And you guys, we threw blood in America, and they just said, yeah, okay, go. Right? But they arrested me here, right? Like, what the fuck?
It just depends here. We've had, they try to, but yeah. But yeah, there's so much to talk about within the movement.
Yeah, what would you like? So how about if we close off our shows, how about we close off with something that we're going to maybe try to do within, I think we should have like a show every 2 weeks or every week. What do you think? Every 2 weeks?
That sounds great. I have a great time talking to you, and we got a lot to talk about.
We do.
It's very therapeutic as well to get it out and talk about it. And it would be wonderful to hear other people's opinions, obviously in a respectful way. And I think it's really great to open this up to that.
For the next 2 weeks, me and Milena, I don't know, what are your plans right now, Milena? What do you got going on for the next 2 weeks? You got a lot of shit going on.
I do have to say that I do have things going on. And it's not unfortunately, because I was invited as the U.S. liaison for the plant-based treaty, and somebody who's never been to California. I was invited to go to LA Climate Week, where plant-based treaty is putting on 7 different events. Woo! I'm nervous and excited, and it's going to be incredible. And even our friend Michelle LeBras said she might drive over there, and if she does, it's going to be a huge distraction.
You got to meet her.
Oh my gosh, I'm just going to fall in love with her over and over again, I'm sure. And it's going to be
she's just like, she's like Shannon. When like, she's very in your face too, right? Like, she'll be bold, and she doesn't shy down, and just like all of us, she's totally our people. That would be awesome.
I'm already in love with her. I've been plotting to follow her around the world already.
Oh, yeah?
You know? She was in Costa Rica. We're like, hey, how can we all get over there? Oh, she's in Colorado.
Where's she going to be next?
In person, but I'm already a big fan and trying to follow her. So
I know, right? She's amazing.
She's incredible. Yeah, we do have some really amazing people in our movement that
we do, and I'd like to bring them on here too, right? So
let's get Michelle on here, and definitely Shannon. Yeah, I've
had her on before a couple times, I think, and she's amazing. So let's do that. In the next 2 weeks, I am going to try and not do anything. I have a couple meetings that I'm going to do here for the 100 cafes and get that set up for the people. But I personally am just going to set them up, and then I'm going to take a break. I'm going to put a post out saying, do not contact me for 2 weeks. I'm going to try my hardest.
I'll be gone from the 8th and returning on the 15th. So,
8th.
Yeah.
All right. So
we're ready to roll, and plenty of stories to tell you about how we need to talk about climate and how we need to talk to climate activists who are not vegan, so we can open up the movement to all of us, and we can all fight for the same things, because like we said, it's health, it's climate, it's
everything,
animals, it's everything.
Okay.
But for the greater good of the animals, we do need to talk about all this.
Yeah, so we'll make that a focus on our next one. You're back on the 15th. So how about we do it on the 22nd? Are you available the next Sunday after that?
Down for it. Let's do it.
And then we can talk about your big climate action. I'll talk about my maybe vacation I almost had.
Well, I'm going to be pulling for you to get that vacation. And then maybe next time we can talk about if it's possible as an activist to take a vacation without doing activism.
I'll try. I'll be the experimento. Okay.
I'd like to say I have high hopes, but
yeah. But I hope that you have an amazing time doing your thing and rocking it out there. Take lots of videos so that we can see what you're doing. Yeah, so that's what we'll do. We'll take I think it's 3 weeks from now. We'll have our next one because you're going away, and I think we'll focus on whatever it is that you did that day, and we'll just go from there. All right, I'll try to have a little structure, make it all pretty and stuff for us, but I'll edit this one out.
A launching point, I think you and I are good to keep the subject, because once you and I had this conversation that we're having now, we got to a point and launched it, and we were good from there. So
yeah, exactly.
It's just natural.
Well, I think we're pretty fucking natural, and I like that it's our show, so we can swear, we can say whatever we want. I don't got to worry about what anyone else says, and then we'll invite people on. Okay, so let's end it for today.
Well, as usual, I always enjoy talking to you and about.
Yes, you too, Malene. I love you so much, and I hope. Did you hear me? Are you frozen? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me? Okay.
No, right. I hear you.
All right, say I love you. I love you.
Love you.
Okay. Mwah. All right. Mwah. I'll see you I'll probably see you tomorrow.